Good afternoon, dear students. Welcome to the second lesson in our program today for the secondary school, especially the third year. So, today we shall start by another lesson. We will see a lesson which is very important for you in English and that would help you to understand clearly the questions you would find in the comprehension text. So today we are going to see the question words or the WH questions. So I'm going to start first by writing the title of the lesson of today. So as you see here, we'll write WH questions or question words. Okay, question words, or we call them also WH questions. WH questions as they start always with WH. So we shall start by seeing the basis of this lesson. I'm not going to do further explanations because we have so many question words. So as the level is beginner, so today we will start just saying by some of them and not all of them. So I shall start by writing some of them for you to see and to recognize what we are talking about in fact. So let's start by what. You know for sure that this word what is very common. And we have where, and we have when, and we have who, and we have why, and we have how, and we have of course we have how, and we have how many, and we have how old. So these are the most frequent and common ones that we are going to focus on. And then we shall write which, of course. Okay, so all in all, we have here 9 question words that we are going to focus on today. So we have what, where, when, who, why, how many, how old, and which. We will see the meaning of each one and why we use each one to ask questions. And then we shall give some examples for you to understand better. And then we move to the practice. We see a very easy exercise for you to practice and to get used with these question words. So our course or our lesson today is question words. Okay, or as we say WH questions, because as you can see here they start all by WH, so that's why they say WH questions. We will see just 9 question words. Okay, as we have many question words linked to especially to the word how, because we say how long, how tall, etc., etc. We are not going to go into all these details. We will see the most frequent ones, and these ones would help you to understand better the questions that we have in the comprehension text in your exams and in your daily tasks in English in general. So our lesson is question words and or WH questions, and we are going to see 9 question words. So we move to another slide or another page to see. So let's take for example what. Let's take for example what here. We say what. I can for example find an example like saying for example what's your, what's, okay, or what is your name. What is your name? This is a question that starts of course with WH question, which is what. And I can have another example which is for example what's What's, for example, what's this talking about the marker I'm using to write? So, what's this? What's this, for example? So here in the first case, we have what's your name. So I'm asking about a name, as you can see. I'm asking about the name, and if I want to answer, we say my, for example, my name's, for example, Jane. Okay. And here, when I say what's this, if you want to ask someone about something, we say what's this. So what is this? We say this is, for example, this. This is, for example, a marker. This is a marker. So what do you notice here? We notice that we use what to ask about. We use what to ask about objects. We use what to ask about objects. Okay, objects. So we use what to ask about objects. So let me see here with the eraser. I hope my handwriting is clear, as I said. So we use what to ask about objects, of course, to ask about objects, to ask about objects. Here, the first question word that we are going to see is what, and this what is used mostly to ask about objects. For example, we say, what do you have in your bag? I have some books, or I have got some books and some pencils. So we used to ask about objects, or we used to ask about something like, for example, like the name. We say, what's your name? Okay, what's your name? So this is the first one, which is what. Okay, let's go and see the second one. Okay, let's go with the order that I have here. So here we have what, and we have the next one is where. So I'm going to explain where first here and go step by step. So let's take the question word where. Here, as you can see, we have WH question, of course. So say where. I give you an example. We say, where do you, where do you, where do you go at the weekend? Where do you go at the weekend? Where do you go at the weekend? So by asking this question with where, I am looking for place. I'm looking for what? For place. So the answer would be I I always, for example, I always go to London. So what is London here? I always go to London. So the answer here is what? Is London. And what is London? London is a place. So I use where to ask about place. I use London to ask about place. So the first one is what. We use what to ask about objects. And the second one is where. We use where to ask about places. For example, here, as you can see the example, where do you go at the weekend? And the answer is I always go to London. And what is London? Is a place. So whenever you see a question with where, so the information we're looking for here is the place, of course. So let's go back and see the third one. So we have seen what and where. Now we go to the next expression or the next question word, which is when. Which is when. Okay, so I take the blue pen as usual and I write when. I write when, and I give you another example with when. For example, when when do you go? When do you when do you go to school? When do you go to school? Of course, question mark here as it is a question. So when, WH question, would say, when do you go to school? And the answer would be like this. I go to school. I go to school at 9. I go to school at 9, for example, a.m. I go to school at 9 a.m. So the first answer we have London, which is a place, and here we have when it is 9 o'clock. So what is 9 o'clock here? So far it is 9 o'clock. It is time. Okay, it is a time. So whenever we see a question with when, we need to answer with what? With time. So we use when to ask about what? To ask about time. We use when to ask about time. We use when to ask about time. So just to remember, here we have question words. We have 9 question words, the most frequent and common question words in English. This is, of course, for beginners, as we have many other question words we're not going to see today because this lesson is for just the third year in secondary school. So we will see 9 question words, the first one, and here we have the first question word, which is what. So we use what to ask about object, and we use where to ask about a place, and we have the example here, and we have the third one, which is when, and whenever we use when, we ask for time. So let's go back and see. The next one is, now the next one is who, okay? The next one is who. So we go and see how to work or how or why we use who in English. So the next question word is who. And I shall give the example. Who were, for example, who were you with last, for example, last night? Who were you with last night? So this is a question, of course, with who. So the answer, among the possible answers we have here, I answer with I was, as this one is where, because we have you, and you answer why. Also with I was with my family. I was with my family, right? So here I was with my family, or I was with my brother, I was with my sister, I was with my father or my uncle. So what is father, uncle, family, etc. here? They are people. They are people. So we use who to talk about or to ask for people. To ask for people. Of course, we can have people as plural here because we have family and it can contain many people, or with just person if you are asking about one person. I was with my friend Jack. So this is just one person. So we use who to ask about people in general, if it is plural or person. And the question is, who were you with last night? So I was with my family. Family is people, or we can say I was with my friend. I was with my friend, and it is singular, so that's why I wrote here people, and I wrote person. So this is the next one. We will go back and see. So we have seen how to work with what and where and when and who. Now we go to the next one, okay, which is why. Which is why, and we do the same thing. We give an example. So let's take why. Let's take why, okay. Okay, so I give an example. Why do you why do you play For example, play basketball. Why do you play? Why do you play basketball? Why do you play basketball here? Why do you play basketball? So I choose the green color and I answer the question. I play it for fun. Or I can say I play it because I love it. Because I love it. So here, as you can see, the question is with y, WH plus y. So the question is, why do you play basketball? And the answer is, I play basketball for fun, or I play basketball because I love it. Because I love it. So here, I'm not asking about time. I'm not asking about objects. I'm not asking about place. And then I'm not asking about people. I am asking, in fact, about I'm asking about reason. I'm asking about reason why I do something. Why I do something? Because I have my reasons to do it. So I use why here to ask about reason. Why do you come to school? I come to school to study. I come to school to study. So the coming of school is because you want to study, and this is the reason for your coming to school. So this is why, and we go to the next. Before going to the next, I go back and see. I can see here question words, WH questions. We say both of them here. So we use what, where, when, who, and why. We use what to ask about, to talk about, or to ask about objects, and where for place, and when for time, and who for reason, for person, and why for reason. For reason. Now let's go to the next. Let's go to the next one, which is how. So let's take the question word how. And as you can see here, we have just H and we don't have WH, but it doesn't matter. I give you the question here to explain more. We say, for example, how can I open, for example, how can I open the door? How can I open the door? How can I open the door? So this is a question. The answer, among the possible answers, say, uh, use, please use the key. Please use the key, which means I'm asking about the way I can, with which I can open the door. I can open the door, and the answer is we use, of course, the key. So what is how is the way we do something. The way we do the way we do something. The way we do something. So we use how to ask about the way we do something. How do you spell your name? How do you spell your name? I spell my name by Jane. So this is the way I spell my name. So how is used for or to ask about the way we do something. And here we have the example. How can I open the door? Please use the key. Please use the key. Right. So let's go to the next one, please. Here. So here we go back and see what, where, when, who, and why. And here we have how. It's the way we do something. It's the way we know something, of course. Now we go to how many, right? The next one is to see how many. How many? Of course, how many? I take the blue pen as usual. How many? I give you the question now. We say, for example, how many tables are there in the room? How many tables are there in the room? And the answer is there are 15. For example, there are 15 tables. There are 15 tables. So what is the answer here? The answer is 15. So what is 15? 15 is a number. 15 is a number. So we use how many to ask, of course, about a number. We use how many to ask about a number. So the question is, how many tables are there in the room? The answer is there are 15 tables. There are 15 tables. So we use how many to ask about numbers. We use how many to ask about numbers. Okay. So how many is for what? Is for number. Okay. We use how many to ask about number. And we go back to see the following question word, which is very common and which is how old. How old. So what is the next? I write how old here. How old? And the question is, for example, how old is your friend? How old is your friend? So this is it. How old is your friend? And the answer is my friend. My friend. I forgot to use. The green pen as I do with all the other question words. I'm sorry. So I got to use it here. So we say my friend. My friend is, for example, 20 years. My friend is 20 years old. My friend is 20 years old. So here, as you can see, we have 20 and we have 20 years old. So what is it? It's an age. So we use how old to ask about age. So how old is for age? What is the question? How old is your friend? My friend is 20 years old. My friend is 20 years old. So please now I go back to see, okay? I go back to the first one. So we use what to ask about objects as we can see, and we use where to ask about place. But we use when to ask about time, and who to ask about person, why to ask about reason, and how to ask about the way we do something, and how many is for number, how old is for age. If you want to ask about age, we should use how old. And now we go to the next one, which is which, and it is very common too. So which, okay. Number 10, slide number 10. I shall write with the blue pen as usual. Which, okay. And when I say which, I give you the example. I give you another question. Which which do you which do you prefer? Tea or coffee? Tea or coffee? Which one or which do you prefer, tea or coffee? And here, when I have two choices or more, so as you can see here, we have tea and we have coffee. So what do we have here? I have two choices. So I can answer, I I prefer I prefer tea. I prefer tea. So here, what do we have? We have options. We have two options. We have two choices. So we use which if you want to give choices. If you want to give choices, which one do you prefer, black color or white color? So here we have the option to choose from two or more things. Like for example, here we have tea and we have coffee, we have colors, we have many things to do the question with. So we use which when we have options, when we have choices between two things, two elements or more. So that's it. We go back to the first one to check what we have here, to check what we have got here. So we use which when we have choices. We use which when we have choices. So I think here we have how many question words? We have 9 question words. What, where, when, who, why, how many, how old, and which. 9 question words. And in the following slides, we have the explanation to everyone. For example, we use what to ask about objects here. And the example is like, what's your name? My name's Jane. So what is this? This is a marker. So we use to ask about names, to ask about uh, objects. And here we go to the next one to see where we use where to ask about place. The question is, where do you go at the weekend? I always go to London. So London is a place. So that's why we use where to ask about place. And when we have when, it's for time. When do you go to school? I go to school at I go to school at 9 a.m. So 9 a.m. here, of course, is time. So that's why we use when if we want to ask or talk about time. Next one is who. Who were you with last night? I was with my family or my friend. So here we use who to ask about people or to ask about a person if it is singular. And the next one is why, and we use why to ask about reason, to ask about reason. So why do you play basketball? I play basketball for fun. I play basketball because I love it. So we use why to ask about reason for or of doing something. And we go back and see how the way we do something. We use how to ask about the way we do something, like how can I open the door? Please use the key. So this is the way we do something. And the eighth one is how many. We use how many to ask, of course, about number. And the example is like the following. How many tables are there in the room? And we ask, or we answer, there are 15 tables in the room. The next one is how old? And this is a very common question which we need to use every time, which is about age. How old is for age? Or we use how old to ask about age. And here we have how old is your friend? My friend is 20 years old. And the next one is which. We use which for or to ask about choices. Which do you prefer, tea or coffee? As you can see here, we have tea and we have coffee. They are for choice. There are two items to choose from, and the answer is I prefer tea. So what is tea is a choice from the choices. And then I think now if they are all clear, we go to see some practice all together. We are going to see some practice all together. Okay, a very simple exercise that we should do all together. If you won't. So we have the question words, which are what, where, when, how, why, what, where, when, how, and how. How many, how old, which. I think that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's it. So let's go and see some sentences and we do them all together. So here I shall write with this sentence one. We say, for example, what we say, for example, I give some space here, of course, and what is your name, of course. Number two is, are you from? And three is, are you, are you? And number four is your birthday? Birthday, of course. And five, your brother is your brother. And six, um, are you learning English? Of course, we have question marks because these are questions. And we go to the we go to the seventh question. We go to the seventh question. Okay. Uh, brothers, have you got? Okay, because we don't have enough space, we go to the next page. And eight is, your favorite country? Italy or France? Okay, so we shall go and see the following exercise. We do it all together and then we move. So as you can see here, we have question words, 9 question words. We have 9 question words: what, where, when, how, why, and how. Yes, I wrote it twice. Here. Sorry. So how? No, sorry. It's not mistaken because we have how and we have how many. I didn't see the rest of the didn't see the rest of the question word. So how many, how old, and which? Of course, we do it all together. If you want to ask about a name, as I said, I say what. What is your name? What is your name? And if I want to ask about the place, we say, for example, are from. So what do we say? We say, where are you from? Where are you from? And if I want to ask about where you are, do we say how? How are you? How are you? So this is what, and this is where, and this is how. We go to the next. Is your brother? Is your brother? Okay, so this is what I forgot here. This is what I forgot to write here, which is who. Okay, so yeah, is your birthday? Okay, is your birthday? So here is your birthday. What do we say? We ask about time because birthday is time. So that's why we we say when is your birthday? And if I want to ask about your brother, we say who is your brother? Who is your brother? And we say, are you learning English? We ask about reason and we say, why are you learning English, of course? And here we have brothers have you got asking about number. We say how many, how many brothers have you got? So we have when, we have who, and we have why, and we have how, and we have how many, and we have yes, that's what, where, how, when, who, why, and how many. We still how many, we still have how old and which, how old and which. So we have which. Okay, which is your favorite country, Italy or France? As you can see, we have choice, so we use which, of course. And another sentence or another just example with another example with how old. Okay, with how old. Another example with how old we say. For example, how old, how old is your, how old is your father? How old is your father? So this is to ask about the age. This is to ask about the age. This is how to ask about the age. So please now to to sum up, to sum up, okay, or to summarize what we have done so far in all the today or today's lesson. We have the title of the lesson is question words, or as we say, WH questions. Okay, so we have what, where, when, who, why, how many, how old, and which are very famous and very frequent. Of course, we have some more question words. We're not going to see them today because this is just for secondary school students. So the first one is what, to ask about object, of course. And the second one is where, to ask about place. And the third one is when, to ask about time. And the fourth one is who, to ask about people or person, and the why, to ask about reason, and how, to ask about the way we do something, and how many, to ask about number, how old, to ask about age, and which, when we have choices. And here we have some practice, a little practice with the questions and with the way we use all these question words all together, together, all together. So for thank you. This is all for this. That was all for today. I hope this lesson is clear for everybody, and I want to say that this lesson is very important for you to understand your questions in the future. And the best of luck to everybody, and see you the next time. And have a good evening.